Okay, folks, moving along here. Club Hi-Ho. My next guest, I'm a big fan of his also. He is starring in the new Neil Simon film, California Suite, and on the 9th of February, a motion picture called Richard Pryor Live in Concert is going to be opening in theaters all over the country, which ought to be crazy, because he is... Well, what are you looking so...
I was going to say, you mean it's for the theater?
Apparently, yeah.
It's not a television show.
Apparently, they must have filmed Richie when he was working in concert.
Yeah.
And he is a funny man. Would you welcome Richard Pryor? Well, here we are again.
Yes, it
How
is.
are you, Rich?
I'm fine, thank you.
Things in your life good?
Yes, everything's wonderful, Johnny.
Good.
Just as great.
Just great, huh?
It's really...
Haven't been doing any sniping for the new year or anything like that? Just keep life interesting, you know?
No, I haven't been doing anything. I was just, you know, you were talking about the earthquake, and it happened...
Were you watching the game then?
Yes, I was. I was in bed watching, and the kids, my kids run in there, and they were really scared. And I don't know why I brought that up.
Well, because his
But
kids were
I
scared.
remember that in the big one, when they had the big earthquake, I lived in a building on Sunset, and it was a 14-story building, and I lived on the 3rd floor, but it was in the basement. and it was early in the morning, and I was in bed, and I was naked, and I was just laying there, and the windows start popping out. And I said, God, this is it. And I grabbed a samurai sword and a fifth of whiskey and went out in the streets. And everybody, after that earthquake, everybody started getting very friendly with black people because they figured we knew God or something.
You don't mess with a cat with a samurai sword and a bottle of whiskey.
No,
You just say, hi, neighbor.
They were going, there was a lot of people going, hi, how are you? No, it just was really weird. The people was like the valley, village of the damned or something. People really just, they hadn't...
They are frightening, those things.
Yes.
People back east, they don't know. Then they think it's going to fall
No,
off.
they think it's like in the movies, really funny. It hurts.
I just saw your, it was glomming your shoes there.
Glomming my shoes.
Yeah.
Is that anything like looking at?
Yes, looking close, yes, it's
Yes, it's my shoes. And,
look, they're gold.
Yes, gold, 14 karat.
14 karat gold.
Yes.
Things going real good, huh?
Yeah, they're doing No, I don't know anything to talk about. My mind left me when I walked out here. I walked out, my mind said, excuse me.
Happens to me all the time on the show. Nothing new.
Went to the bathroom on me.
That's okay. Just put it on hold. I mean,
And I'm just sitting here in a great deal of panic. I'm
no,
going,
no. Sometimes that helps. Just
It does, yes,
Last
it does.
night, in a moment of sheer panic, I started whistling through my nose.
Really?
For Ramona, for no reason at all.
Fly just went by.
The same fly we had out here with...
Train fly.
So,
What have you been doing?
I just, you know, my mother's the only person, when you ask that, I have to laugh. My mother's the only person in the world who calls me and says, what have you been doing lately? I'm on every night.
Yeah.
She'll call me if I don't call every week and says, what have you been doing lately? I said, same thing, Mama, the old television show.
Like, what does your mother feel about what you do? I mean, how does she look at you?
I think parents and children sometimes, they know you so well as a person. They have nothing special particularly. I'm sure they're proud, like your parents are, and Tim's parents. But they don't treat you like the general public. The general
Yes.
public sees and say,
Yeah.
Richie Pryor,
Yeah.
Tim Conway. Well, now, when you go home, you don't get that, do you?
Not at all.
Your kids look at you and say, hi, Dad, or whatever.
My kids, the other
They'll
day-
go see somebody else. I remember when I was writing for Red Skelton years ago, I was doing a local show.
I didn't really
KNXT.
want to know, Johnny. I'm just
What?
kidding.
Yeah. Well, I was... Wait, you didn't want to know that much, did you? I told you a lot more than you really wanted to know. Well, anyway, now that I'm rolling, I was writing for Skelton, and I had a local show on KNXT, and in comes Red Skelton kids and run over to me. That shows you the thing. Now, there was their dad, one of the biggest stars in the world, but they'd see me on television. That's all. That's the
Dick
end.
Gregory told me one time he was walking with his kids, and the man came up and asked for his autograph, and his children said, what they want your autograph for? You ain't nobody.
Yeah. That's the whole attitude.
My kids were in the car with me. We were driving, and my kids were, they said, I asked them had they been making obscene phone calls. You know, because when you're young, you call people up and go, hi, and say something and hang up. You know,
that's
that's
real
fun.
clever,
You
yeah.
know, and my kids confessed that they did, and my daughter said, I called up somebody and we had a radio contest. You know, I said, what was it? Well, I asked this person, said, who's the funniest guy in the world? And you win $50,000. And the guy said, Steve Martin. I said, that's right. And I almost ran off the freeway.
Your own daughter.
Yeah, my own daughter. I said,
Well, of course, they don't see you in that light.
I said, well, Steve, you got to get him to get you something for Christmas.
That's right. Take you to the park next week, right? And a nice vacation, because you're going to be home. I'm going to do this. We're going to come right back. So, and that's a promise. Remember here last time, weren't you talking about your dad?
My dad?
Yeah, you said he was a strong disciplinarian when you were growing up.
Oh, my father would just say things that make you pee on yourself.
That's tough.
Yeah,
Yeah, tough guy.
He could call my name, Richard!
Was it just fear?
Huh? Yes, it was plain fear.
In other words, your mother...
My mother was cool. My mother
Yeah.
was cool because she knew she could tell him. She
Yeah.
would look at me and go, I'm going to tell your father. And I'd panic because my father had an approach about things. You know, he'd just say things like, he'd be reading a newspaper. Give me a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Right? He'd be reading a newspaper and he wouldn't never say anything. He'd go,
That
was it.
Trouble, huh?
And the man next door, the kids next door, though, was really panicked. Their father was mean because the man would come out, and the kids, if they did not hear him, come out on the porch and go. If they didn't hear that and get home in 3 minutes, that was it. And that's all he would say. He'd go. And kids, we'd be playing basketball, cat be going, what?
Yes.
Yes, Lord. My grandmother used to give, you know them trees with them switches? You, know,
Birch.
you ever have to break them off yourself to get, my grandma used to make me go get them. You know, she'd say, boy, go get me something to beat you. And it would be, you know, it would be the longest walk in the world. Right? I mean, I would be hoping it would snow, and you get to switch, and you'd be coming home, and it'd be killing the wind, right? You'd be, you know, and it'd make you start crying before you get in the house. You'd be, Mama, Mama, please, Mama, Mama. And my grandmother, she would just get mad and just whoop you with anything, like, you know, old douchebag cards, anything.
Yeah.
Just,
And those hurt.
oh, man,
Yeah.
it's big old hot water bottles. That's what they called them, right? Hot water bottles. Just hold 8 gallons of water. It was embarrassing. And I'm telling the truth, man. People went, douchebag card?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe they did that out of love.
Oh, sure, I know it had to be love.
Now, how are you with your kids? How old are your kids now?
My kids...
When you have to discipline, do you...
I'm not very good. At first,
Yeah.
I started out spanking. I tried
Then
spanking.
you realize that
But
you
I
should not
looked in
hit a
their
kid.
face because they can look at you so like, you spanked me. And I would feel awful. So I tried talking to them, you know. And my kids are real life stuff, if you don't mind. I hope you can bleep it out, right? I mean, my kids, one day my daughter, Rain, just came into me, and she was talking about my grandmother had been, took her for a ride and was talking to her. It was a lot of pressure for her. You know, she's 8 years old.
Yeah.
And she looked at me, she said, Daddy, I just wish they'd get off my back.
That is known as a child's plea. Of course, you can understand that. That's communicating. I mean, you know what's on her mind right away.
Yeah, she said, I think grandmother is a racist now because every time we go down the street and she says, hunky this and hunky that. And my mother's white, right? I said, okay, now what am I supposed to do? Okay? So now what am I supposed to do? I said, well, go tell your grandmother how you feel. Tell her the truth. Walk right in there and tell her. I said, but there's a price for telling the truth to your grandmother.
Pay the dues.
I said, she is going to beat
Had to go out and give her the thing again.
But she went in there, and I saw her in the yard with a switch later.
Cutting the wind, yeah. Well, I think that's direct, and the parents can understand that kind of.
So I talked to my kids, though. I said, look, I don't like what you did, and I don't think you respect yourself.
But you still love them.
Oh, I love them. Oh, they got my heart, man. They can just do stuff to you, sitting in your lap and just, oh, daddy. And that's it.
It's all through.
It's finished.
Well, guys are pushovers usually for little girls.
Oh, man, they're just so beautiful, and they're just sharp and smart, and they're full of life, and they make you happy. They say good things to you, you know, tell you they love you and
You're
stuff.
gonna spoil them rotten.
Oh, can't help it. Can't help it. It's beautiful, huh?
You wouldn't spank them now.
No,
See, usually when you spank, you do it in anger, and they say that's wrong.
Yeah, no, I thought I was doing what my parents did to me, and that messed me up, and I just going to mess them up the same way I'm messed up, and I don't want to do that. That's not the little children.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll be right back with some more 8-year-old dialogue. Thank you, Tom. We're talking with Tim Conway, Richard Pryor. When I mentioned earlier about your concert being in film, Tim asked me, wasn't sure whether it was a live performance or it was concert. In other words, they filmed your concerts you do.
Yes.
Work.
No, it filmed a couple of nights at Long Beach.
Right.
When I was doing my things for the court. And, and
By the way, how are things? You're through the court thing now?
just about. I have to do 400 more concerts, and the judge was very liberal.
Very good.
And no, that's all behind me now.
It's all cool. Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully. And no, they filmed the concert. I wanted to, Bill Cosby and I were in California Suite together.
Right.
Right? And the movie, I think, is very funny, and they really got after Bill and I's performance, not for us, but for what they thought. It was a racial slur against black people to have us in the film.
And I heard that, and it's interesting to talk about it.
And that we were in the film, and we're the only black people, and we're the only ones doing slapstick comedy. And the reviewers, these white men, found this offensive. For black people, they got a consciousness all of a sudden, and it's not fair to people like Neil Simon and Herb Ross, Ray Stark, Bill Cosby, or myself, or Gloria Gifford and Sheila Fraser. The people that were in the segment that we were in, because we loved it doing it. And
it was burlesque, it was slapstick.
And that's what it was supposed to be, and not that anybody cares, but I wanted to mention, in case you do care, that I would love to. I would work with them people anytime, because I think they're men with a lot of principles, and we in no way meant to do nothing but be funny, and that's what I thought we were.
Well, you see, if 4 white people would have done that same sketch, nobody would have said anything.
But see, they saw black
burlesque,
people working,
yeah.
and they didn't like it, and we had a job.
In defense of the reviewers, they are really nice people. I know, when I go out and have an interview or something, and you're cutting their meat for them, and I think that a person of that intelligence has a right to say what he feels and thinks, Yeah. So you feed them a little bit, and then they write a review on it.
I should have done that. I never thought about it.
Whole life is a review. I think life is a gong show.
That's right.
You do?
Whole life is a big,
And
one
they
big
ring
gong
the big
show.
gong on you
Up
at
in
the
the
end.
sky. God is going to say, this is a whole gong show. That's all it is.
And they lead you off. Well, I don't believe that.
I say. Well, you're entitled,
Yes. I don't. Where were we? Here we are.
We're here.
Yes, my mind just came back. Hi, Rich. Hello.
So anyway.
Here, but not in my concerts. Usually when I did one concert one time, I walked out on stage and was nothing but white people in the audience, and it scared me to death.
Really?
I did, because I walked out. I have a line usually like I open and I look at the audience and I say, white people! Because there's hardly like 2 white people in the audience, so it's really funny, but you walk out and there's all white people, that ain't funny.
No, when you go, hey, white people, they go, yeah.
They look at you and go, sure, of course. And usually when white people come to see me work, they usually take notes or look like they're doing some kind of sociological research.
Well, what does that word mean, Martha? Is that really, do they talk like that?
Oh, you've got a good mix of an audience, though, don't you?
Yes, I would look. I think that I have a good mix of an audience. Was that your question?
Yeah.
Yes, I think.
One I haven't used recently, and I throw it in
I think I have a good...
when black people are here. I only save it for white
good.
people. So.
No, well, I have a mixture of voices. Not many Chinese people.
They're tough, real tough.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to laugh. They really don't laugh much. They go, well,
How would you like to go to China now?
I
that
would,
we-
oh, I
you've now
would
go over
love
there, you
to
know?
go to China.
I would too.
I would, just love. I just think Chinese food is so great. And they go, no, I would love to go to China because Chinese people probably got some weird ideas about black people. You know, because any place usually where white Americans go, they always say black people have tails and, you know, and things like that. And Chinese people probably be looking at you talking about, no, I just think China, I mean, there's 1 billion people. You should be friendly with 1 billion of anything. I mean that.
What we ought to do, we ought to get you.
I went to a
Conway.
Chinese restaurant. Wait a minute, Johnny. And the funniest thing I ever heard in my life, the Chinese waiter that stuttered. I mean, the man was stuttering in Chinese. He was like...
And his friends was trying to help him. They were getting mad at him, going, "Choke out, Bobo, get on!" And he was still
Well, if we go to China, I want to go with you, Conway, Pat McCormick,
Oh, my God.
and Harvey Korman. We all go together.
Okay.
And they will probably end their diplomatic relations with the United States the next week. But for a week, it would be
Oh, it'd be fun.
an awful lot of fun. Yeah, because they could be fascinating people. As you say, you got 1 billion of everything.
I hear the premiere of China spits in a platoon, right? The guy has a spittoon, and they tried to ask the networks to edit out that part when they showed the film, because he's talking to the Americans, and he goes, "Monsieur." And they said, please edit those parts out of the film, you know, because of the image. And I thought it was really folksy.
Yeah. Kind of ethnic, you know.
Yeah.
I can miss. We'll take you a break. We'll be right back.